The overturning of Roe v. Wade at the U.S. Supreme Court level has thrust the issue of abortion access to the forefront across the country and, of course, right here in Iowa. We want to address the candidates now, what your personal stances are on abortion and how it would impact your work as Attorney General. I believe that question goes to you first, Mr. Miller.
Well, first of all, I think it was a terrible mistake for the Supreme Court to reverse Roe. Roe is a middle ground, had a set of compromises where the abortion was restricted but not eliminated. And I believe that women should essentially make this choice, that they should have the freedom from government intervention to make this decision with their family, if necessary, and of course with the doctor. So I believe that the state should not restrict in any significant way that woman's right to choose. In the last semester, reasonable regulations do make sense, but I think it's just really important to understand what women are going through, or at least try to, from my point of view. A significant majority of Americans did not approve of the Roe reversal. Significant number of Iowans, and I agree with them.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Byrd, same question to you. Your personal stance on abortion, how would it impact your work as AG?
Well, I am pro-life, and I will defend the laws that are passed by the legislature. The legislature makes the laws. I would defend them. Unlike the current occupant of the office, who when he first came into office in 1978 was pro-life, but then changed his position in 1994 and became pro-choice. Then in 2018, he refused to defend the state's heartbeat law. Fast forward 3 years later to 2021, and he decided he would defend an abortion law the legislature had passed on the waiting period, defended that all the way up through the state Supreme Court, where that Supreme Court decided that the Iowa Constitution did not have a right to an abortion, and then partway through that case decided he would no longer represent the state in that case. So the current Attorney General, he's been on both sides of that issue, depending on where he perceives to be his personal political convenience at that time.
Again, twice by title, so we're going to go with it. 30 seconds to you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, absolutely false. The abortion is a difficult issue for all of us on a personal level and also in terms of government policy. I was pro-life for a period of time, and then when I was out of office, thought about the issue some more and went to a pro-choice position because I thought that was the right position, mainly because of the necessity to have freedom for women to make this decision and keep the state out of this very difficult situation. Over a course of a period of career, you do change your mind once from time to time, and this was the case.
Thank you, sir.
Well, for some more context on some of those cases you just heard about, Governor Reynolds has asked the state Supreme Court to reconsider the 24-hour abortion waiting period and what's been called the fetal heartbeat law. As you mentioned, now the 24-hour waiting period was already appealed. The governor has asked that an injunction be lifted on the fetal heartbeat law, which would ban abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. What's your stance on the fetal heartbeat law? Mrs. Byrd, we'll start with you.
Yes, well, the job of the Attorney General is to defend our laws when they are challenged in court. The laws are made by the legislature, the Attorney General defends them, and that's what I would do. I would defend the law that the legislature passed.
Mr. Miller, any follow-up on your thoughts on the fetal heartbeat law?
Yes. That is the case that I decided that ethically I couldn't perform. I couldn't zealously pursue that argument because of the strong convictions I have about abortion. So that is one of the two cases that I decided for ethical reasons I shouldn't be involved, and on a policy matter, I think that it's far too restrictive on women and their ability to function free in our state.